I'm doing my daily reading today from Genesis 39 and 40, and that's part of the story of Joseph. You'll remember Joseph as, if you're familiar at all with Joseph, probably you'll know him by the coat of many colors. He was favored by his father Jacob over his 11 other brothers, and was given this special coat, and he had certain dreams that when he told his family about them, his brothers really began to not like him even more, because not only was he his dad's favorite, but then he started to, in their eyes, begin to view himself as, well, more important than they were, and more worthy than they were, even though he was one of the youngest among them, second youngest, in fact. And, well, after some things happen, his father sends him out to look for his brothers as they were out shepherding the flock of sheep, and he comes to them and they throw him in this well, and then they sell him to a family of their cousins, and he finds his way in Egypt, where he is sold to a man named Potiphar, who is head of the bodyguard for Pharaoh. Now, this is where the story of Joseph picks up in chapter 39 and 40, because even though Joseph was no longer a free man, he was still a blessed man. You see, the evil that was done to him by his brothers did not affect his outlook, did not affect how he viewed God, the sovereignty and the holiness of God, and the call of God on us to be holy as he is holy. He lived and he did everything in his power to be a good man working for Potiphar. And he was such a good man that Potiphar left his entire household and his entire possession under his authority, under Joseph's authority. The only thing that he did not have authority over, or ability to do what he wanted to with, essentially, was, well, Potiphar's wife, obviously, because, well, she's his wife. And there's something to be learned from Joseph in this story, and even afterward, because Potiphar's wife began to harass Joseph, harass, harass Joseph in certain ways, and he didn't give in. He didn't give in to her causing him temptation, and he said, "How could I do this wicked thing and sin against God? Not sin against Potiphar, not sin against her, but sin against God." And his commitment to purity and to not being with Potiphar's wife inevitably led her to lie about him, which ended him up in jail. And even in jail, he was so responsible. He was so innocent in his behavior. He was so, well, for lack of a better term, just a good man, that even in prison, the chief of the guard in prison gave him authority and gave him work to do, and he kept watch over prisoners, and he was doing certain jobs while he was there, because they understood this is a man that we can trust to get things done. Even in prison, he served the Lord. Even in prison, he kept on being a good man, striving to be the person that God would have him to be. Now, men of God, here is my challenge for myself and for us from Genesis 39 and 40. Sometimes we let our circumstances change our mindset. Sometimes we let the things that people do to us affect the way that we view the world, how we view people, how we view ourselves, how we view our assignments that God has given us to complete and watch over. And we begin to act less and less like the men of God that we should in Christ Jesus because people have done wrong to us. Now, Joseph had had a lot of wrong done to him, but he still showed up. Joseph chose to remain a man of presence. What do I mean by that? It means his presence mattered. He made a difference in the places where God put him. He made a good difference in the places where God put him. He served the Lord in everything he did. He was a man of his word. He was servant-hearted. And he just wanted everything in his power, under his authority. Everything that he did, he wanted it to be the best that it could be. And in his service and in his walking with God, God blessed him and caused everything he did to prosper. He was a blessed man, but he was a man of presence. Men, my question for us is, are we men of presence? Does our presence in a certain place, whether that be in our homes with our families, in our churches, in our small groups, in our friend groups, in our workplaces, does your presence make a difference? Are you a man that when you enter a place, people can say, all right, things are good. He's going to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. We can rely on him, and he's got our back, and he's going to make sure things happen? Or are you a man who sits back and you don't do much more than you have to do, and maybe you cut corners and try to take the easy way out? And I understand if you're that way. I've been that way most of my life, and I'm working on, by God's grace, becoming greater than that. My prayer is that we would all become greater than that and use Joseph in a way as a mentor, to see how he loved God, to see how he served God, to see how he made his presence matter to the people that he was around. He took care of business. He was trustworthy. He was a man who followed God, who would not give an inch, even when it took him to prison. Men, let's be men of presence. Let's be men who get things done. Not just looking out for our own interest, but looking out for the interest of others also. Do nothing out of vain conceit and selfishness, but in everything consider others as more significant than yourself. If we'll be men of presence, who love God, who love people, if we'll be men of presence, then we'll truly be men who are wise, rare, and different. Love you.